so the staff and Minister know over there, I only intend to keep you for 40 minutes or so, meaning another 5 maybe, if it's not 40. It's not that easy standing between you and freedom. But in any event, I've got some questions that I think are pertinent. I want to start with income assistance. Through you, Mr. Chair, could the Minister just review the specific categories of income assistance in terms of how much after the cost of living increase we'll see in the disability category and the single employable category and the and so on. So if you could just run through those rates, that would be great.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. Through you to a member from Fredericton South, Leader of the Party. Disability single, basic unit rate, $6.99. $9 per month. Just in addition to that, there's a disability supplement of $100 for a total $799. That's for a single disabled.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, we know we've got significant poverty rates in the province. So the most recent report of the St. John Development Council, Human Development Council, there you go, ran through the communities around New Brunswick, and it ranges from a high of 72% in Esconobidich, 72%, extraordinary, and Kingsclear First Nation almost 55%. Baldoon 46% child poverty. The Ward 3 in St. John about the same, 45%. Doketown or Chiboucto, Plaster Rock, Campbellton, mostly tied around 38–40%. These are extraordinarily high. In my own riding, the rate is 25%, higher than probably most people realize. So the question, and of course, those are child poverty rates, and for children to be in poverty, their parents are in poverty as well, obviously. So I'm wondering why in this budget, beyond the important change of increasing income assistance rates based on the cost of living changes, which is an important move, and it's broken a long-term inertia in the system, I would say, to recognize that's necessary, and I want to acknowledge that. But why does this budget why doesn't it actually include substantive increases in the social assistance rates themselves to get them closer to what it actually costs to pay for the necessities of life?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the patience of the member across through you, Chair, because rates and social assistance rates, and it's a big portfolio. It's a big document, because when somebody looks at the investment we made, and I know the member opposite said, why aren't the rates specifically been increased? But I would also point to some of the other increases we've had in other areas of the department that address some of the issues. And I know the member opposite you mentioned the disabled single. When we look at housing and what's available for housing, and putting a significant amount of increase in that envelope to address some of the needs in the benefit rates that we see here. So when you go through, some of the additional things like the fuel supplement, the emergency fuel, the health card, the medical transportation, training-related benefits, and employment-related benefits, because, and again, I'll back the camera off a bit and look at all the social assistant rates. A large percentage of those are meant to be transitional, and I would include some of the programs that I've seen that are available for folks to transition to be work ready and back into the workforce. And I know the member across may say, and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but just trying to anticipate the questions because I know we're limited time. The Premier has announced social development reform, and part of that is saying, okay, let's work with the people that are really in a transition or temporary situation that are going to transition back to the workforce. And if there are people that can't transfer back to the workforce because they are disabled and again, you have different types of disabilities, let's see if we can make sure that we can enhance those benefits so that it is closer to a living wage. That's some of the ideas, and I talked about it earlier today, and if the member missed it, we talked about some of the exemptions that are allowed in the income policy, the home income policy. Looking at, instead of having 14 exemptions, why don't we rework that whole policy to make it more holistic and make it more, again, try to gear towards helping those that can't help themselves and helping those that want to be helped, because again, sometimes mental health, addiction, physical or mental disabilities prevent people from being able to transition back into the workforce. So it's a big file, and it's one that I'm anxious to tackle, and the Premier has said, you know, let's make sure that we're helping those people that need the help the most, and that's a big mandate, but we're ready to tackle it.
Thank you to the minister. So, you know, with these numbers the minister provided, Mr. Chair, if you consider a 40-hour work week for singles, we're talking about $4.37 an hour. Even with all of the other supports, federal and provincial, that are available, the Human Development Council calculates that people are still living $10,000 to $11,000 below the poverty line. When everything you can possibly grab, child tax credit federally, all the various supports from the province that the minister mentioned, in addition to on top of income assistance directly. So that's significant. Now, I understand from the minister's statement, which I appreciate, by the way, a much better practice than having us needlessly ask questions about issues that are being addressed, only to discover that announcements would be made later. So thank you to the minister for the statement ahead of time. I understand from the statement that now for the first time child support payments will no longer be considered household income, so they're not going to be clawed back, which is an important step forward. And if I'm wrong, please tell me, because I don't want to be disappointed here and disappoint a lot of people who I will tell that this has happened. So this is a very positive step forward. I've always said that it's not really a lot of money, and it's good to see this being announced. So by the same measure, another thing that would be very helpful for people is to just eliminate the economic unit policy, just to enable people, whatever their status on income assistance, to share accommodations so that they can make the money they have go a little further. So why not just eliminate it altogether in this budget?
Thank you very much. And Mr. Chair, through you, the member is correct that the recipient, and I was trying to find it in my speech that I said earlier in the day, he is correct, October 1st, we will not be, that will not be considered income. That income will stay with the family, and the SA rates will not decrease based on income for child support. And again, we recognize that child poverty, as does the member opposite, is such a thing here in New Brunswick that affects too many people. So if we can do this to help in a little way to help the family unit, then that is correct. So The other part of the question was about the the home income policy, and again, I have committed to review that because there are so many exemptions. I'll also want to make sure that we're doing that we don't, and any review, you don't want to cause unintentional consequences that will again take the resources from those that need the most. So that's where we're trying to figure out the right mix, the right approach, and we could go through various scenarios that may just not work if you just carte blanche and anybody can do what they want. So it's going to be, again, we're going to do research, and we're going to try and consult with various stakeholders to, again, make sure we go in the right direction for that. So I think that was the two, not clawing back the support payments and reviewing the home income policy.
Thank you to the Minister through the Chair. He just is demonstrating through this that, as Leonard Cohen said, there's always a crack that the light gets through, and it's good to see a little bit of light shining through those cracks here for people living in poverty.